right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the we got a special episode today. Special episode, and we have Baron Sung with us on the program. Baron, say hello to the punters.
Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing well. And I also want to say, if anyone else wants to jump on, it would be great to have some other opinions as well. And I'll do my best to monitor the chat.
Absolutely. And you know what? So today we got a special live stream. Today what we're going to do is we're going to go over the what I call the 10 commandments for watch collector success. Now, I put out a video the other day where I've been kind of codifying it, like, because there's a lot of concepts. There's a lot of concepts I've been discussing in the last since we started doing the channel a few months back, and I'm realizing there's some things that really need to be codified, right? And key concepts so that you can build a real watch collection. Most importantly, that you can have fun but make money also. Like, again, to me, one of my things is, again, it's just me. If I buy a watch, I got to make money. Baron Sung is a pure collector, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? You're like a purist.
Yeah. So when I think about watches, I don't have that large of a collection, but when I think about watches, I think about does it capture my attention, and how long does it capture my attention for? And because I'm the one that's gonna have to wear it, so it should be something that is I just can't stop thinking about. And that's just the way I think about watches. But a lot of the things you said on your list are also true.
So let's go through this. And again, you're really a purist. You're like you're really a purist. You're like a real collector. Like, you're like a romantic, right? When I look at a watch, I'm also thinking, okay, I think all those things, right? But at the same time, for me, I have to look at it like, okay, if I'm putting money into this, am I gonna, like, is it gonna retain value? Am I gonna lose money? Can I make money? And at this point, like, I'm at the point where I really don't, listen. One of my first rules. Rule number one of the 10 commandments is nobody needs a collection, the quote unquote collection. Nobody needs to collect watches. Okay. Like, I think, my father had one watch in his whole life. My grandfather, probably your father and grandfather, whatever. It's the way it was. One watch is fine. Okay. Look, if you want to, for most people, let's call it a sport watch or whatever, something that's versatile, and a dress watch or whatever, some combination. That's all you need. 2 watches. That's all you really need, right? When you go beyond that, then you start getting into different areas. For me, I think, okay, so let's talk about rule number one. Rule number one, I said, nobody needs any collection. Okay, nobody needs anything. But if you're, what makes a collection, in my opinion, anything where you go about 4 watches or more that you buy, not that you're given as a gift. I'm not counting gifts. I'm not talking about, that something you found. So do you actually spent money, your hard-earned money, for that you thought about, you made a deliberate, you researched, you bought them, you have 4 watches. Okay, at that point, you have actually, that becomes like a collection at 4, because then already, or you already have at that point more stuff than you need. So Baron, your thoughts?
So I think it's Kevin O'Leary. He says that you don't have a collection until you've got 3 watches from the same maker. So I think there's but that's a guy with, like, probably hundreds of watches, hundreds of, like, very expensive watches, and in questionable taste.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm actually going to do a video on his his collection. We're gonna do a review on the Kevin I'll tell you what, if we have time, maybe we'll do it together. Yeah. I'm gonna go through the rules real quick. Maybe we'll go through the Kevin, because I actually have the videos pulled up. I haven't had a chance to go through them but this guy is, listen, Kevin O'Leary, in my opinion, he's a businessman. He's a good businessman. He's a good hustler. He's a good promoter. Yeah. His taste is like really, he's like sort of like basic bitch, like rich guy taste, sort of like, okay.
Yeah, he's a producer, Michael.
Yeah. Actually, I would say this. No, producer Michael is a little more. He's a little more British eccentric rich guy, like sort of like I don't know what the deal with producer Michael is. I don't know if he was like some sort of like, because this guy's, I can't figure out how this guy makes money because I never heard of this guy. I know a little bit about, the entertainment business. I never heard this guy's name. I mean, I know he was some sort of drummer. Yeah, but that's it. Like, how the hell does this guy make money? But he's got that sort of like, he's got that kind of taste of like sort of like a guy who was a successful rock star, like a mid-level rock star, but really spends a lot. Like just random shit, weird clothes, just whatever, and he can do it. I think he actually enjoys that stuff. If he wears like a weird Rolex rainbow, that's him. Like he's that guy. He really is the rainbow guy. That's his look. Kevin O'Leary, I think he's kind of like, he's like a copy. He's sort of like, he's like one of these, what I call the newbie guys, the guy who started collecting really in COVID, the 2020 collectors, whatever, which by nothing wrong with, but like, he's like, I've seen a lot of the watches he shows. He's got a lot of, really boring stuff, the hype, the basic hype, really basic hype stuff, but name brand, Patek,
Yeah.
all the big names, but the basic stuff. Like he's a guy, if he buys a Rolls, right? If he's buying a Rolls, he's going to buy the one that's the basic colors. He's not going to buy the one that's like, the tangerine or, whatever. Whatever. So I interrupt you. Pick up from where you. Okay, so by the way, I told you before. When I interrupt, I'm not trying to interrupt. I want you to keep going. I'm trying to add comments.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So, did you want to go through the list of 10 items first, or?
Yeah. I'm going to go through the 10. Okay, so let's go through the 10. Yeah, listen, I'm going to go with you. You moderate basically because I think you're much more organized than I am. I get that sense. So okay, so let's go through the 10 rules. 10 rules for the punters. So rule number 1: you don't need a collection. Like you. By the way, the rule that he said about this is I was going to say the 3 watches for a brand. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard about in my life. That is the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard about in my life. Like, if you have 3 watches, you want to have 3 different watches. You want to have a dress watch. I would have like a Rolex, maybe if I only was limited to 3 watches, I'd probably get like, a neo-vintage Rolex, like a sport, like a two-tone, like the Yachtmaster, which I like, whatever, that works for me. If I was starting out, right? If I was starting from scratch, I'd get a Yachtmaster two-tone with a blue dial if I was like 30 or under, and then I'd get like a vintage Patek, like something from the 70s for about $5,000, and that would be $15,000. I'd be done. Okay, I wouldn't get 3 Rolexes. That's the dumbest thing. It's like so boring. Okay, rule number 2, very important. Price is everything. Okay, you got to buy right. You make your money on the buy. You make your money on the time you buy, because again, when I look at a watch, I'm not a dealer. I'm not actively buying and selling. I'm not looking to buy and sell. If I want to get rid of something, I would much rather trade it. And by the way, 279 super chat. Watch Lux, great to have you back. And Watch Lux, my best sport watch. I said this to the Rolex Yachtmaster. Like, I have that two-tone. I think it's a great. I think it's a very versatile watch. For me, that watch works. If I was a young guy, I would wear the stainless steel with the blue dial, which has the platinum bezel. Because it's a more classic, younger look. Whatever. But I like the two-tone because the two-tone you can dress it up. I wear that watch, with suits. You can't really wear stainless. In my opinion, you really can't wear stainless. Whatever, with cuff, it doesn't work. But okay, but I would get like a dress watch. Okay, so price is everything. You got to buy right. I only like to buy out of favor watches. I do not chase hype. I'm looking for neo vintage with upside. I'm looking for stuff which, when I buy it, I'm getting it on the ground floor of a trend, and we can talk about that. Like I like things which are counter trend, like that are coming out of cycles. Number 3, by the way, I should add, my background really is in financial markets. I don't know if you could tell, but so it's I have like a bias towards these things. Okay, number 3, rule number 3, you got to stick with the trusted brands: Rolex, Patek, AP, possibly Vacheron, possibly. At the low end, if you're like a piker, Tudor, Omega is okay. At the low end, because Omega, Tudor, you're not really going to get hurt if you buy them really cheap. And also, I should say, I'm looking for things when buying. I'm looking for things which are going to keep up with inflation, increase maybe 3 to 5% a year. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So, what about? Let me see. Okay, so rule number 4, very important. Trends change. Nothing is permanent. Okay. Look at the screenshot I have here. I got a bunch of watches. I have some vintage, right? Some of that stuff was completely out of favor. Some of it is still out of favor, but it's becoming hot. Like, at the top, I have, I don't know if you can see, but I have the Royal Oak, the AP Royal Oak in two-tone. That was out of favor up until like 4 years ago. I bought that in 2018. I started researching them in 2017 or so, and I found one around 2018, I believe it was. I probably could have bought. 2017 was the time to buy it. Whatever. Anyway, so two-tone was out of favor. Royal Oak was, it was warm. It wasn't hot. It wasn't cold. It was warming up, but nobody wanted that smaller size. Everybody was chasing the new stuff. The Patek 3940 Perpetual, that actually has been relatively lukewarm for a number of years. It's starting to heat up. Now, at the bottom, you have the turnographs, the Rolex turnographs, which are, I would call them cold. I would say they're ice cold. Hang on, let me show. Those are ice cold. And then I have the dress watches, the Patek dress watches, which are, relatively cool. Not even lukewarm. I would say relatively cool. And then the ellipses are starting to warm up. Those ellipses, which are at the far right, are starting to warm up. The Yachtmaster that I have, it doesn't count. The Yachtmaster is not really a trending watch. It's kind of neutral. It's not a watch I would buy to make money, straight up. I have said that before. Straight up, I wouldn't buy it to make money. The Submariner, the one I have there is, I would say that's lukewarm right now, but that it's kind of a little bit of a special watch. It's kind of the no holes case, the Rehart, whatever. Ironically, Archie Luxury had that same watch, which he sold. Archie has a habit of buying, selling, and then rebuying the same fucking watch, which is ridiculous. Anyway, I'm not into that. But the point is the trends change. Just because you think the watch is hot today doesn't mean it's going to be hot for the next 5 years or 10 years. Okay, so I'm not like any of these watches. I have no idea where trends are going to be in 10 years. I really don't. So like the mistake a lot of people make is, I'm buying this for my grandkids. I'm buying it for my kids. I will never sell this. Let me tell you something. It's fashion. At the end of the day, it's all fashion. A lot of these things will be in fashion, out of fashion. Hopefully, I think most of the stuff is going to be good for the next 5 years. After that, I have no idea. I really can't see that far out. It's really like a very it's questionable, right? 279 super chat. What's your favorite watch in the collection? I'm going to answer this later. Baron Sung, please remind me to answer this. I got to answer this later. Okay. Now, rule number 5: don't be boring, right? Like, this is very important. If you're going to have a lot of watches, you got to have a mosaic. Like when I look at it, like we looked at that collection yesterday. Remember that NYC watch guy collection? He had what you called it cohesive. The guy who had the FP Journes, all the dress, a lot of white metal. He had a lot of white metal watches on straps, right? And to me, it was all boring. I mean, look, he had a lot of heavy hitters. He had a Richard Mille, he had a FP Journes, a couple. He had whatever. He had MB&F. He had I don't think he had a Rolex. Like me have had a Rolex, but all his watches are basically like, I call them like semi-hype watches or hype watch. They're like all relatively hyped. I mean, they're all relatively on the radar. They might not be white hot. They're not white hot, but they're, orange hot, getting to, they're hot. Some of them are hot. For MB&F, which is, whatever, nobody even talks. He's got some stuff that people are talking about. But all of it is very boring. It's all the same metal. It's all very like dull. It's like the guy. It looks like a guy who eats the same thing for lunch every day. My watches are all different. That's I think, and again, maybe this rule is not for everybody, but I think it's important to have. You got to have some variety. Look, I got different metals. I got different cases. I got vintage. I have modern. I have neo vintage. I have like only one modern watch really, which is the Yachtmaster. Everything else is relatively neo vintage. Actually, no, the Jacques Dro is a modern watch. But yeah, everything else is, neo vintage. Some of it is from the 60s. Some of it is from the 80s, 90s. It's a variety, right? So like I have stuff like I can wear. It's different. It's all different stuff, right? Rule number 6. You got to have at least 20% of your collection. If you're going to call yourself a collector, this is what I say. If you're going to be a real collector, you got to have at least 20% what I call relevant vintage, historical vintage, which means like the Turnograph. The Turnograph to me is an example of that. It means that was an important historical watch because that really informed Rolex's whole rotating bezel. That was the first rotating bezel watch. The Submariner, the GMT, everything came after that. That was the first sport watch. I think it was the first watch they did in two-tone and precious metal. It really was a game changer. It was the first military watch. It was worn by the Air Force, the Thunderbirds. I wore that watch, when I shot down like 30 MiGs over Vietnam, and I that was an unbelievable watch, right? Now, rule number 7. You got to have at least one perpetual calendar. If you're going to call yourself a real watch collector, you got to have a perpetual calendar, or at least a high complication and working yourself up to a perpetual calendar. I'm not sure if that rule is right or wrong, but I think, look, again, I'm using, not to beat up on Archie, but I use Archie Luxury as an example. Any of these so-called watch influencers, any of these so-called, wannabe watch influencers, they all talk about all the stuff. They're all expert. How come they don't have a perpetual calendar? I mean, especially if you're a Patek guy. If you're a Patek guy, you got to have the perpetual calendar because that is their ultimate watch. That's their ultimate watch. Yeah, they have a Celestial. They got some crazy, minute repeater or whatever. But the Perpetual is the watch worn by Philippe Stern. It's the ultimate watch, right? Now, anybody, by the way, you can get a Perpetual calendar for about 10 grand. There are JLC. There's some, you can like snipe a couple of, there's the Jacques Dro. That's my only modern watch. Except that, yeah, it's meteorite dial. By the way, Baron, can you hear me?
Yes.
Is the Baron?
Yes.
Okay, Baron, are you familiar with the Jacques Dro? D-R-O-Z?
Yeah. I was actually looking into them right around the time when they announced that they weren't going to make, I guess they were only going to take made-to-order watches.
Oh, really? You found out about that? That's interesting.
Yeah, because it's just because it was around the same time I was looking at it. It's like, okay, I want to get into a brand that has some real like legacy behind it, something that's been around since let's say prior to 1900. I think that was the benchmark I set. It's all right. I'm not gonna get into any brand that didn't exist prior to 1900.
Okay.
And then that was one of the brands that I looked at.
Okay, so you got a whole thing. You probably have stuff where I bet you keep spreadsheets of watch. I bet you keep spreadsheets.
No, I don't. I just I just keep like a mental note of like, oh, I like this and I don't like that.
Okay, are you familiar with their whole story about making the automatons and all that from in the 1700s?
Yeah, that's how the I guess the originator of the brand got his start, and that's what they're famous for. And I think. I don't know if they're still making them now, but they released, I think within the past 5 years, they released some kind of automaton. It was like, I want to say there was something like bird. It was some kind of bird thing.
They got crazy stuff. They also have watches with automatons. I have actually a video on the channel. It's a short of like an automaton watch. It's like a little bird that tweets.
Yeah.
Like it's like the Twitter watch. Basically it's a little bird. It chirps. It goes beep beep beep. It chirps. it sounds like Marcelo. That makes like a chirping sound. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you literally makes a chirping sound. They got like little fish that move. But here's the thing, right? So this watch. So when I bought it, they were still. I think they were talking about going to bespoke only. But these guys do have a legitimate history. They are one of the oldest brands. They're up there with Breguet, maybe as old as Breguet, right? And you know the whole story. The guy went to China, right? He was basically selling automatons to the imperial court and to the European imperial
them and
court.
Beauvais. Yeah, them and Beauvais. They were specializing in the Chinese market.
So Beauvais, I don't know this Beauvais, but here's the but the reality is, right? It's what, as they call it, it's a Phoenix brand, right? They were out of business for 100, whatever it is, and it was revived. It was just like Breguet, they were revived or whatever. But here's the thing.
All right, so I'm going to push back. I'm going to push back a little bit with Breguet. So the reason I got into Breguet was, I looked a little bit into their history. I'm not like super knowledgeable about it, but to the best of my knowledge, Breguet has been in continuous production since the Abraham Louis Breguet. It's just that now, with Swatch Group controlling them, and they have a lot of influence over the I guess the technology that goes into the watches and the development of new technologies, that there is, I guess it's kind of questionable about how Breguet is a Breguet.
Okay, so you're 100% right. So no, this is, but people consider it, why they, because it's the whole thing was kind of, the real Breguet, as we know, kind of it started in the 80s, right? It was sort of like, it's a little bit of how should we say, a revived brand. It wasn't dead. It wasn't buried. It wasn't like a lot of these brands that were just dug up out of the ground. I mean, Breguet was in production, might have been like struggling or whatever, and whatever.
Revitalized, with Daniel Roth. Yep.
Yeah. So but here's the thing, right? So this brand, going back to, I'll wrap up this. So when I bought this, I got suckered into this because I wanted a Meteorite dial. I wanted a Rolex day date, a Meteorite. The prices were crazy. They were going crazy prices like 2 years ago. And I wasn't willing to pay that because, again, I do not chase hype. I'm not willing to pay a premium to retail because at some point, that those watches are going to come down because it's a mass production watch at the end of the day. I don't care what they say. It's mass production. By coincidence, I was passing by a retailer here, right? This Tourbillon store, whatever, right? And I walked in, whatever. It was like I happened to walk, and I was looking to watch. I was curious about the brand, about Jacques Drouot. I heard about them. I was curious. Let me check it out. And I looked at the watch, and the Meteorite, and then the salesman was amazing. The salesman was one of the best salesmen I've ever come across in my life. This guy was like, this guy was unbelievable. I mean, he like really knew how to spin a story and all the stuff. Also, at the same time, I got a discount, which helped. But here's the reason I bought it really was, and this is going to be a little bit like, again, I'm thinking kind of almost with the reason I justified paying for it, buying it, even at retail at a discount. And I think if I sold it, I might take a hit. I might lose a few grand right now. But so these, they make them in limited editions. I know it sounds, but they do make these in limited editions, right? So like, this watch is made in an edition of 88, right? So, by the way, Baron Sung, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you're not Puerto Rican, right? You're Chinese or something, probably.
I am Chinese, yeah. I am Chinese. That's a good guess, Chinese, yeah.
But you're American though. You're American. You're born here. Were you born in this?
Yeah, I was born in Jersey, yeah.
ABC, right? The ABC. So
yep, that's right.
But what this is all about, right? It's got the whole feng shui thing going on. It's got the 8, right? The 8, the infinity. Mm-hmm. It's got the feng shui thing. Their big market apparently is China, like mainland China. From what I understand, the reason the mainland Chinese were buying it was, the mainland Chinese are into anything having to do with Imperial China. They're like, they were collecting ports, anything to do with the Imperial Court, they go crazy for. And I think these guys basically were pushing on that story that, okay, the Emperor of China was buying this watch, 200 years ago. So, that makes it, all of a sudden it's a story, right? They like the story. Mm-hmm. It's a quality watch. And what they do is they got the whole feng shui thing. They got all the figure eights. All the watches have that, feng shui vibe going. And they do, especially, and these, the exotic dials or the exotic stuff, they do in limited editions of 88, or I think it's 8 maybe, the whole thing, whatever, 8, I think 28 or 88. So I thought to myself, okay, this is 2 years ago. The Chinese economy was, it was a little rough. I thought to myself, okay, things at some point are going to revive, and that's going to be kind of my exit because, you got 1 billion people there, right? You got 1 billion, maybe it's more. I think it's 1 billion and change, right? 1 billion people. That's just China. I'm talking about mainland China. I'm not talking about, Chinese around the world. I'm talking about mainland China. You got 1 billion people. At any given time in any country, 1% of the people will always have money, right? So 1% of 1 billion is how much? Is that 10 million? 10 million, I think. 10 million? 10% is 100.
Yes. It's 100 million because you move the 0, 1, or the decimal by 1.
See, there you go. 100 million. See, this is why we have you on the program. See, you got 100 million. By the way, we're talking about 100 million. Let's call it high net worth. People worth 10 million and up, right? You're talking about 100 million people like that. 100 million. 100 million. That's a lot of people. And out of those 100 million, let's say there's only 10 million. I mean, you don't need to use a spreadsheet to figure out that, there could be potentially a couple of million people who, for them, hey, if they paid 20 grand for this watch or 25 grand for a watch, that they could tell, the whole story about the imperial court, the meteorite. I'm not sure if meteorite is a feng shui metal, but it's got the gold, it's got beauty. You understand where I'm going, right?
Yeah. All right, but at the same time, though, I don't know if that's gonna be a reliable market, because it's not. You can't just say 10% of the Chinese market is going to be, in a class that's able to afford this, because the majority of the Chinese actually make like nothing. It's just
but 1%. So there's 1 billion people. 1 billion people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, one. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. If it's 1%, then you move the decimal twice. So it's not. It's 10 million. It's not.
So we're talking about roughly 10. We're talking about roughly 10 million plus people who are able to write a check or whatever, or do a WeChat or what is it? Is it WeChat? I think, or whatever. Weibo, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. So you talk about a lot of potential buyers, right? And to me, that's enough to move. Again, listen, I'm reaching. I was trying to justify it in my head to buy the watch. But I do think. By the way, I was wrong. My thesis was wrong because, from what I understand, the Chinese economy hasn't really picked up. It's been relatively stagnant.
Yeah, it worse than that. It's on the decline. Like businesses are moving out of China. But
here's the other thing, right? You have a lot of there's a lot of Chinese outside of China who understand feng shui, right? It's a culture. I'm talking about a cultural thing also. It's a cultural thing. So we're talking about another 20 million people realistically that could be potential buyers. Worldwide. I mean, it's a big, potentially a big market. But the other thing is, but the other driver, right? So I'm looking for multiple drivers. So so number one is the Chinese thing. That's one story. That's the mega trend. Number two is, okay, these guys are going to discontinue making the watches, which they're doing, and they're only going to do bespoke. And that, in my opinion, is going to be the thing that, that's going to be the thing that basically moves the market, because all of a sudden, if these guys start making watches for $250,000 or more, then the other stuff gets a lift. Gets a halo effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's actually happened to. There's this an older brand. It's called Urban Jurgensen. Right now, Kari Valutanlainen, he bought out the company. And and they're doing something. Don't know what yet, but they're doing something with the brand.
Okay.
They're currently not producing anything, but I think around the time when it was announced that that they were going to be acquired and they were going to pause production for a while, like their stock of existing watches got cleaned out.
Okay, that's very interesting. Thank you for. I wasn't aware of that. I didn't know. I don't follow like that Carrie Vuitton, whatever. I'm not a fan of his watches. I understand they're very like serious. He's a very serious guy, whatever. They don't do anything for me. But listen, this is why we have you on the program, to give us this, market insight. I'm a shallow guy. I'm not, I'm a shallow guy. I'm a basic bitch. But this is fascinating, right? So, by the way, here's a comment. India. So I think India is going to be the next big thing, like India. So I actually would be looking for stuff that Indians would be into. I think the Indians, I'm not sure what their taste is for watches. I mean, yeah, we saw that guy with the wedding, the Indian wedding guy. He had a lot of hype watches. I'm not sure what the Indian. I don't think the Indians are not into the feng shui thing. So I think they like gold. The Indians like gold, basically. They like yellow gold. I know that, or rose gold, maybe. That's for sure. So I'm bullish on gold overall. So I'm saying anything with gold Rolex. I think that's another. By the way, I think that's another value driver for the day dates. The 36 millimeter is you're going to have a wave of Indians coming in. You got a billion people. You got 1.5 billion people, and you're going to have 10 million plus. They're going to be ultra wealthy. I'm not talking about I'm talking about ultra, like 25, 30 million plus. You got more. Look, there's more billionaires, or there were more billionaires in China than in the U.S. number wise, right? Because they got more people. You're gonna have the same thing in India. The same thing is going to happen in India. But what's going to happen in India is, I think you're also going to have a lot of people as they come into the middle class. They will want to flex. As soon as anybody makes money afterwards, they got to have the role. And I think in India, the Rolex, I think, has, gold Rolex is a thing. It's like, hey, you got you made it. If you have the gold Rolex, you made it. So I think that's going to be a thing. But okay, let me continue. Okay, so you gotta have a perpetual calendar or high complication. Archie doesn't have any. None of these alleged influencers have a perpetual calendar. I mean, Tim Wright. You got that Oisin. You got Urban Gentry. You got who's the other guys who have big channels. I'm trying to think. Whatever. I'm shocked by this. Like these guys, I mean, they're raking in the bucks from the super chats, right? They're doing the grift. They're doing the gigolo thing. They got all these old ladies. They're scamming old ladies to send them money for rent. These grifters are taking advantage of senior citizens. I'm surprised they don't put money away for a perpetual. It's only 10 grand. I mean, they got shitter watches. They're buying Rolex Explorers. Okay, rule number 8. You got to buy best of breed. So it's kind of like you got to buy the watch that the brand is known for. So for Rolex, actually Rolex has a few flagships. It's a difficult thing. Okay, for Patek, I would say Patek, it's going to be a perpetual. It's going to be maybe a Calatrava. Yeah, possibly a Nautilus now, but definitely not the Neptune, which was like their weird like Nautilus thing. They had the Nautilus, they had the Aquanaut, and they had the Neptune. Are you familiar with the Neptune, Baron? The Neptune?
No, I am not.
Okay, so listen. Patek has a lot of dogs that they make, which they bury. They have a lot of failures that they bury, and the Neptune is one of their failures. But it's kind of it was in that like genre of sea creatures. It was in the genre of what's his name, Jacques Cousteau. It's their they get it's ugly, nasty. It came out in the 90s. They had a couple of others, but if you're gonna have a Patek, you gotta have a watch that people know is a Patek. In other words, it's gotta be recognizable as okay. If I tell you, oh yeah, I got a Rolex. What's the first thing that comes to mind? It's not going to be a Cellini, okay? It's not going to be a Cellini. It's not going to be the Prince. It's not going to be the, sadly, it's not going to be the Turnograph, okay? It's not going to, or the Milgauss. It's not. It's going to be a Daytona. It's going to be whatever. Now, at some point, you can buy those watches if you see the trend turning which is what I'm doing or what I did with the Turnograph or the Ellipse, but it's not, it's not the thing they're known, or the Aquanaut. I could have done that. You could have done that, right? In 2009, I think it was, you told the story.
Yeah,
The Aquanaut was out of favor. It was a dog with fleas, with rabies.
You could have picked one up on the secondary market for like 5-6K.
Are you serious? Was it that cheap?
Yeah, unworn, right? You go to a secondhand, like a reseller. It's just because people just had them and then they just didn't want them.
Yeah,
like five or 6,000. Yeah, like basically unworn. Someone's had it for a couple months and they're like, I gotta get rid of this.
Okay, so that is exactly like the watches that I'm pointing to, are those Ellipses. That's kind of where they are, except they're a lot older now. I mean, they were kind of hot in their day. Now they've been ice cold for decades, and they've been thawing. They've been thawing for the last, I don't know, 5 years or whatever. And now everybody's thawing. By the way, if you look at, hang on a second, I'm going to point this. Robb Report had a whole article about. I'll point this in. Please remind me to bring up the Robb Report article, which talks about the new trends, which are smaller cases, two-tone, all that stuff. Because we have one of these commentators. These punters that they leave, they're not even aristocrats. You got some of these commentators that leave messages saying, oh, two-tone is out of fashion. Oh, this guy doesn't know anything. Oh, two-tone. Yeah, this fucking Russian guy. I mean, the Russians. I mean, the Russians are still wearing head-to-toe Moschino or, the Russians have no taste. All right, I don't want to hear from some Russian telling me about two-tone. All right, I mean, the Robb Report article talks about two-tone. But anyway, so let's talk about flagship. Okay, so for Rolex, it's the sport watch. It's not the Cellini and all that stuff. Well, actually, no. Okay, so Yuri, I'm saying buy the. I'm buying not dogs. I'm buying I'm buying caterpillars that I think are going to become butterflies. I want to buy the caterpillar just right before it turns into the butterfly. So not while it just laid the thing, but like, I don't know, like a couple days before it becomes out of the cocoon or whatever you call it. Okay, rule number 9, don't take advice or be influenced by the wrong people. That could apply to this channel. So basically, here's the thing. Look, watches are basically, at the end of the day, it's a fashion accessory. That's really what it is. The reason why people like or dislike, like the Ellipse that I'm pointing to, or the big watches, the Hublot or the Panerai, it's because it's fashion. Because some influencer, I think it was Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, started wearing a Panerai in the 20 years ago. All of a sudden, everybody's, if I wear Panerai, I'll be like Sylvester, I'll be like Rocky, I'll be like Schwarzenegger, whoever the influencer is. Today it's John Mayer. I don't know if he's actually has any clout, but John Mayer with the green Rolex, right? The green date, whatever. Okay, so. But here's the thing. On YouTube, there's a lot of these deadbeats. You got, whether it's the Archies, the TG, the Urban Gentrys, the Grifter of Venice. These guys are all basically giving advice. And here's the thing. The thing with YouTube, anybody can start a YouTube channel, right? Even myself, right? Like I'm a moron, right? I started a YouTube channel, right? Now, you guys are lucky. The punters are lucky that actually I know what I'm doing, right? Like, you guys got lucky. But, there's a lot of these guys who have no taste. Like, I mean, why would I listen to fashion advice from, a fat guy in Australia with a carpet full of carpet beetles, $2 curtains, he's wearing like ripped up shorts, we're talking about Archie, right? He's got horns on his head. It's like, why would I take a fashion advice from that guy? But he's the guy that's telling people, don't buy two-tone, don't buy small case sizes, you got to buy only 40. This guy is like way out of, like, he doesn't know where the trend is going. My thing is, I actually do have a sense of where trends are going in different things, right? This just happens to be. I can't tell you whether, I'm not a fashion guy. I'm not going to tell you that, women's skirt lengths will be, mini skirts will be in next year, or I'm not telling you that. But for watches, things like that, design, I do have my finger on what's happening. I happen to have my finger on the pulse of like design trends, right? So, I mean, again, maybe I do, maybe I don't. Who knows, right? I happen to be also early a lot. I do happen to be early, which is bad in certain things. For watches, obviously, look, it's like it's not like it's going to start going up the minute I buy it, right? Like I'm usually a couple years early. Like in the case of watches, maybe 5 years early. So which is if you got to wait 5 years before, and then the trend, and these trends go like 10 years plus, right? These are long-term trends. So anyway, don't listen to advice from people who don't have taste. They wear Rolex Explorers. Rule number 10, very important. Rule number 10, and this is why when I made the video, I said, look, you always have to be improving and upgrading the collection, right? It's not about growing. It's not about, going from 4 watches to 20 watches. It's not about the size. It's all about the quality. Like I counted, I have 13 watches. I would much rather have like 5, like, I don't know, really incredible watches or whatever it is. Like I have, I think, a little bit too many watches. I'd like to trim. I'd like to get rid of a few things which I feel are redundant, like the Submariner I think is redundant. Maybe the two-tone turnograph is redundant because I have a gold one. Maybe the yes, I might have 1 or 2 watches that could be. I probably have 2 watches that are redundant, and I would like to, like if I get another watch, I would probably get like some. I'm looking at a couple things, but there's nothing I really feel like, oh my God, I have to have. There's nothing really out there. Like, oh my God, I can't, like, there's nothing I need really. If the thing came up, great. But the point is this, right? Basically, I think it's very important for any collector, to review your collection and upgrade. Don't be one of these guys. They keep growing. They keep all their old watches. Like, for example, you have this guy, Marcelo, right? He's got like 3 heavy hitter Rolexes, right? Like, he's got like some Daytona, the Exotica, what is it, the Le Mans, the Le Mans Daytona. He's got the Meteorite GMT. He's got a couple of heavy hitter watches. He's got a couple of real heavy hitter watches. Now, at the same time, he's got a whole box. He's got a box of shitters. He's got a box of he's got a couple of Omegas, Seikos. I don't even know what things are even worse. He's probably has and I think that's like bad feng shui to have. I think it's actually bad feng shui to have stuff that you don't use, and that's like, just because it takes away energy. I don't know.
But at the same time, I'm also thinking that the reason he has those heavy hitters is because he bought those shitters. Because you got to spend money at the AD in order to get offered the pieces. No, the Rolex ones he got the shitters he got from buying stuff years earlier, whatever, just random shit years. And by the way, there's a bunch of guys who have they said, oh, here's my watch collection, and I have 10 G-Shocks and I have 30 watches, and 20 of them are garbage watches. Why do you need those watches? You're never gonna wear them. Why does somebody need to have these G-Shocks, 10 G-Shocks or 5 G-Shocks? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Yeah. Okay. So I think that leads us into, if we could bring up Antarctica Mysteries, his first 3 comments where he talks about the collection. If you could just bring up
yes,
those
let's go. Yeah, let's address the punters. Should we go? Can you pull up the chats? Are you able to do that?
Let's see, because I'm on my phone right now, so.
Oh, okay. So let's pull up. You talking about Antarctica Mysteries? He said he had a comment.
Yeah. So his first 3 comments.
His first 3 comments. I want the red pill kernel. No sugarcoating. Who cares about
a person who collects is dead?
A person who collects. Him can't. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Where is the okay?
Yep.
Go ahead.
So he's basically saying that so I think a lot of people do this. He's saying that they collect something as kind of a way to show that they were alive and that they mattered. It's some kind of weird way.
Pharaohs.
So I think that
the Pharaoh.
Yeah, so they're using their watches kind of like as something like that. But I think that's just a story that people tell themselves as a reason to be like, yeah, you know what, I should spend this money on this totally irrational purchase. It's something I'm gonna hand down to my kids. When in reality, you have no idea if your kids are going to be into watches or not. Like as soon as you kick the bucket, they're going to be up on Reddit asking people like, oh, how much is this watch worth?
I guarantee you, I'm almost willing to guarantee that watches is the one thing that if you think your kid's going to like it, I can almost guarantee that by the time that they inherit those watches, the fashions will have changed so many times that most likely they're not going to want them. That's the reality. Maybe 50 years later, the next generation will, but
So but it's just one of those things people tell themselves just so that they have a reason to buy more watches.
But he's got an interesting point. He's saying something. A person who collected, he survived. I think this guy's like a communist at the end of the day. he's basically saying that because you have it, and you owned it at some point. Here's what's interesting. I'll tell you something interesting, right? In the case of art, right? In the case of paintings, most when it comes to art. Paintings, like especially anything you go into like a certain price level, there is a provenance, there is a chain, and one of the valuable things when you buy a painting, especially you buy I don't know whether it's a lot of times whether it's modern stuff, whether it's look I've bought paintings like old master paintings that are, let's call it 400 years old, okay. And there is a provenance. There is this was owned by, and you have it, and it was owned by, the Duke of whatever. It was passed to this guy. And how do you know this? Because it's interesting. The Dutch actually kept records of like whatever called like wills or whatever. So like we all know what Rembrandt had, his estate. We know what his estate consisted of, all the inventory, right? So there's all that stuff is that. So when it comes to art, especially for like a lot of paintings, like serious paintings, people know who owned them, right? Like there are paintings that actually are around the world today. A few paintings, I'm not, in a very modest way, that basically say they were, they came from the colonel or they were sold by the colonel, at some point, right? I'm part of that chain of provenance. And it's actually in books, right? For example, the Andy Warhol catalog, right? The catalog raisonné, right? The catalog raisonné is basically, it's a giant book or set of books that lists and shows pictures of every painting or work of art that the artist produced. For Picasso, there's like 25 volumes. It's huge. For whatever. So there's one for, let's say, Andy Warhol, right? I happen to have an Andy Warhol drawing, right? And I am in there because, I contacted the estate. I said that, I was buying and stuff. So I am in there in the record as this was owned by the colonel, right? Same thing with this guy was a Tom Wesselman, right, which is a major artist, right? This is a painting that I sold, I brokered to a guy, and in the provenance with the estate, that record, it says it was sold by my company, basically, right? So the gallery, whatever, right? The colonel's gallery, if you will, right? So whatever it is, right? So there is actually this stuff you do live on, forever in theory, right? Like I know these names from 500 years ago because they owned that piece of canvas. They owned this basically this,
Okay. So now, now that brings up an interesting question. Now that because all right, when you're the first person that buys a Patek, you register your name in their archives, and the same thing goes for Breguet. If you're the first person to buy, a Breguet, you have the opportunity to register your name with Breguet, and they keep your name in, it used to be a book. It's no longer a book. Now it's like some database somewhere. So how much do you think that matters for an established brand? Let's say if Rolex were a brand that did that, how much would that increase the, I guess, the demand for their watches?
Okay, so no, so it's an interesting. Okay, so you got an interesting thing. Okay, so with watches, that type of thing has not really entered the conversation yet. I don't think collectors are aware of that. Like watch people are not. It's a little different with watches than it is with paintings. I think one of the big issues with paintings is that the provenance is important for two reasons, actually. Two reasons. Number one is for the sake of authenticity, right? Because all of a sudden a painting comes up, it surfaces to the market out of nowhere. I don't know. Let's use what's his name? I'm trying to think of a name. Fuck. Okay. Let's use Monet. Okay, let's use Monet. Monet surfaces to the market, right? A scene of, I don't know, a haystacks or something, right? And it surfaces to the market. People aren't going to say, hey, this $10 million painting, hey, let's just, hey, okay, it's for sale. Let's put it up on eBay. No, where did it come from? How do I know it's legit, right? What's the chain of who owned this before, so I know it's legit, right? If it was owned by, the right people, right? And we could go into that, right? I'll go into that, but who are the right people who owned it? Okay, then it's legit, where was it owned? So it's just, people know that it wasn't stolen. It wasn't, for example, in Europe, right? There was a big issue which still surfaces to this day. A lot of paintings were looted by the Nazis, right? Thousands, there were like probably hundreds of thousands of paintings, right, looted by the Nazis, and a lot of there's stuff that was archived, there was records, and a lot of times stuff comes to the market, and all of a sudden there's got to be what's it called, repatriated or whatever, I don't know what's the title, it goes back to the it's a whole thing. It's a big mess to this day. So the provenance matters. With watches, not so much. But here's the other thing: the provenance matters, I believe, because the other issue is if a guy had really incredible taste, if somebody was known as an incredible collector, right? People will say, "Oh wow, I'm proud to own something that was part of this guy's collection." Like it gives you a nice feeling to know that this thing is hanging on your wall. Like, look, I have a painting. I've had paintings on my wall that were owned by like guys who were like billionaires, right? That had, some of these guys had great taste. Now these were modest. These were like a couple thousand, 10,000, 5,000, whatever. But the fact is, like, I know this thing that's hanging on my wall, I feel a connection to this other guy. Now maybe this guy was a fucking asshole. I don't know, whatever. But I feel a connection. Like we have a similar taste. We have a similar. I don't know. It's a weird. It's an interesting feel. It's really interesting with paintings. With watches, that type of thing, I believe, is starting to enter the conversation. For example, we know that Michael Ovitz, Michael Ovitz, the big Hollywood agent, Michael Ovitz?
No, but continue, please.
Okay, so Mike Ovitz was the biggest Hollywood agent in the last like 30 years. His heyday was like the 1980s and the 90s. He basically controlled the whole industry. Like you couldn't make a movie in Hollywood without Mike Ovitz. And the big joke was when you were watching the Oscars, right? All these guys give the acceptance speech. They say thank you. They also thank you, God. They say first I want to thank God, right? They're saying they want to thank God, then the family. The whole thing, right? The first person they thanked was Mike Ovitz. That's how big this guy was. Like if you won an Oscar, and you did not thank Mike Ovitz in the first three people, and he was your like that was like you might be like blacklisted. I mean, this guy was the guy. He was responsible for every hit movie in the literally every hit movie. He packaged them. He brought in the director, the actor. Like he was the guy, and he built a major Patek collection. I'm sure Duke Philippe knows about it. So Mike Ovitz was a massive Patek collector, and he was known for commissioning special watches from Patek, and they would put his initials at the bottom, like it said there's like a little MO, and those watches today are very valuable. The Mike Ovitz, I think if we Google Mike Ovitz Patek Philippe, hang on a second, I think I'll do that. Hang on a second, Mike Ovitz, Michael Ovitz Patek. That's the whole thing now. I bet there's going to be guys who are collecting Mike Ovitz watches. Hang on. I'm going to pull it up right now. Stop screen. Wait. Present. Share screen. Mike Ovitz. Okay, so the Mike Ovitz watch, I believe, is going to be like the next collector category. Like I shouldn't say collector category. It's gonna be like a sub. It's going to be like a highly exclusive subgenre. It's going to be like if somebody has like 5 Mike Ovitz watches, it's going to be like I mean, that's going to be like the thing. Like, we were showing yesterday that the guy who's got the gem set, he's got those. Oh, you love this. This is for you, Baron.
That is a good looking watch. Yeah.
Those are your.
All right, those are
your numbers.
Yeah, the brigade numerals. Yeah. Okay, but I don't know. But how much value does owning something, that Mike Ovitz, who was, because he's just an agent. He was like a man's agent. At the end of the day, he's just an agent.
Whoa! If you said that line in 1995, you'd be blacklisted. If you said this guy's just, you'd be blacklisted. I mean, no, seriously. No, he ran CAA, which was the big agency. CAA was the big. He ran. That's like the guy. The guy. Remember that show, that TV show, called what's about those guys in LA? What was it called? These guys who are like actors hanging out. What is it called? It's like a bros. It was an HBO. What is it called? Entourage.
Yeah.
Remember that show, Entourage?
Yeah.
Okay, so that guy, the agent, Ari Gold, I think, he was modeled after a guy named Ari Emanuel, who is like the Mike Ovitz of today. He runs, I think it's Endeavor, it's called. But he's not, but Mike Ovitz in his day, he was like a deity in Hollywood. He really was. It was like it's basically like saying it's the Pope's watch. I'll put it that way, okay? It's like, if the Pope collected, if there was like a Pope who was a big watch collector, like this guy who's in charge now, if he was a big watch collector, I guarantee you people would be into it. Like, how much does it add? I think it probably adds 50 to 100% premium, to answer your question. 50 to 100%. Yeah.
All right, because the way I'm thinking about it, right, is that kind of like, all right, he's, I guess, famous in entertainment, but that's it. He's not like the last Tsar of Russia, or I think recently.
He's bigger than the last Tsar of Russia. Have you heard of? Listen, okay. Here's the thing. Today we're living in a different age, right? 2024 is not 1995 or 1990, right? Things have changed a lot, right? Like Hollywood doesn't matter. I don't think I remember the last time I watched the Oscars, but at one point, the movies were a big part of American culture or world culture. Like, I think that probably ended, over the last 20 years. Like, once the internet took off, I mean, everybody's a star now, right? Like, Andy Warhol said everybody's going to be famous for 15 minutes. But here's the thing. Up until the year 2000, I would say, right? Up until the internet became huge, the movies, Hollywood was a big thing. There was always these gossip magazines. When you went to a supermarket, there were these gossip magazines that told you what the actors were doing. Today, people watch, TMZ. I don't know what they do, but yeah, exactly, CAA. No, so anybody that knows anything about in that era, this guy was a household. He was like the equivalent of Tom Cruise. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody, he was like so big, you couldn't imagine how big this guy's name was. And now look at this. Nobody knows his name. You don't know this guy's name. That's an insult to Mike Ovitz. It just goes to show you, right? What is that line of Ecclesiastes, right? Vanity of, it's like Ecclesiastes. What's the line? It was something like vanity of, like, everything is transient. Everything has its moment in the sun, and 50 years from now, nobody cares. 100 years from now, nobody will care. The only people that care is basically your family is the only people that care or remember you. Everything else, people don't care. You did your thing in the world. You did your part to move things along, and that's it. You did your part, and that that's it. You're gone. Like, nobody will remember what buildings you put up or any of that stuff. Nobody knows that, what companies, Steve Jobs. I guarantee you in 20 years nobody will know who Steve Jobs was. I mean, today even people don't know who Elon Musk, 20 years after he dies, nobody will know who he is. Maybe, unless he goes to Mars or something crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, but this guy was so big. I mean, you heard of Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah.
This guy's name was like up there. It's like one of those top 10 names. It was like one of those name recognition things. And he was an agent. He's an agent. He's not an actor. He's a guy, you know? So now he's basically an older guy. He's probably in his 70s. I don't know why he sold his collection. I don't know why he was selling off. He's a wealthy guy. He's probably worth, I'm not his accountant. He's probably worth, I don't know, a couple $100 million or something, maybe $1 billion. Nobody really, he's like, you know, he had a falling out with Hollywood because, you know, he was talking about the Velvet Mafia. Are you familiar with the Velvet Mafia, Baron?
I know what the Velvet Mafia is, yes.
Okay. So he was talking about the Velvet Mafia, right? And because this guy was already kind of like a little bit weak, he was a little bit on the way out. These guys went bananas, right? And he was like, basically, they kind of, and he didn't say anything bad. He didn't say anything bad. He basically said, like, you know, there's a lot of gay guys who are pulling, you know, and it's 100% true. There's a lot of the top guys, you know, are gay. It's 100%. And do they have a casting couch? 100%. 100%. Like you hear about the Me Too for women, you will never hear about the Me Too thing in the gay world. Why? Because these guys are you know, well, today it would be considered, oh, you know, listen, and basically, you know, the I might be blacklisted. I might be canceled if I say this. No, but here's the reality. You know, the heterosexual sex is considered like taboo. Like if a 50-year-old guy, you know, hits on a 18-year-old girl, people can say, oh, the guy's a pervert. He's Me Too, whatever. But if a 50-year-old gay guy hits on a 17-year-old gay guy, yeah, oh, the guy's avant-garde. You know, I mean, it's the way it is. Like, whatever, it's just the way it is. I'm not telling people anything that they don't know. But anyway, so this guy kind of had a falling out, and people don't know about it. But the guy is an absolute mega ultra. Oh my God, look at this. Look, he's got a whole thing of Mike Ovitz watches. So this is a watch, unique and extraordinary, sealed, special order for Mike Ovitz. It's sold at the bottom of the range. Whoa, this is your, oh, by the way, Baron, I got to tell you, you know what?
Yeah.
I have good news for you. You ready for the good news?
Yeah, go hit me.
Mike Ovitz specifically ordered these Breguet Arabic numerals. That's all his watches have. Oh. That's his thing. You and him.
Yeah. You know, the thing I don't like about the thing I don't like about Roman numerals is I'm one of the people that don't like the watchmaker's spore. I know it brings balance to the watch, but I'm just not it just irritates me.
Listen, it's not just you. Mike Ovitz feels the same way. He does, because look at these watches. 100%. All his custom Pateks all have these numerals. So let me tell you something. One day, I bet you're gonna buy a Mike Ovitz watch, and then you're gonna look back to this conversation and say, wow, now I appreciate provenance. I'm wearing on my wrist the watch that was worn by the guy that made Rain Man, or I don't know, whatever movie. What was your favorite movie? What was your favorite movie? Give me your top 3 favorite movies of let's call it the 80s.
The 80s. I don't know. That's just like a hard thing to recall. I was watching like.
I don't know how old you are.
Yeah, no, I'm 43. In the 80s, I was like a kid watching, like, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay, so I don't know if he was involved in that. Wait, in the 80s. Oh shit! I just realized the 80s is a long time ago. It's like 30 years. Okay, let's go back to the 90s, early 90s. How about Rain Man? Remember that movie Rain Man? A great movie, Rain Man.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Okay, he made that. He made all these movies. Okay, we got a comment $9.99. Let's go to the super chats. By the way, we got to address the super chats because we have a lot of aristocrats here in the audience. Now, the notorious Mech is not an aristocrat yet. He's saying, unpopular truth, a collection of vintage watches means you're poor and don't belong in the watch game. Ooh. Oh, my God. That's brutal. Your thoughts on that before I address?
it could go either way. Could go either way because there are some vintage pieces that retain and increase in value. I mean, there are very few, but there are some of those. But the vast majority of vintage pieces are they are less than, well, I don't want to say adjusted for inflation. They're less than their retail price.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it depends what you're talking about. For example, like you don't want to say that to this guy. What's his name? He calls himself John Goldberger. You know, what's his name? Is Aura Montanaro, the Italian. All the heavy hitter Italian collectors, all they have is vintage. They have literally. There's a couple of guys with collections worth, I don't know, 100 million plus. I mean, those are big numbers in watches. That's like unheard of. You know, there's a bunch of guys like 10 million, 50 million. 100, it's all vintage stuff. Now, it doesn't have to be 1930s. Generally, these guys have watches from the 50s to the early 90s. So, you know, that's what it is. By the way, this guy here has vintage equals old. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hang on. So the flat four, this guy knows what's going on. Yeah, so this guy's wife found the Jimmy Choo. That's like a big fashion shoe brand that was hot for women. Mm-hmm. Oh, look at this. Never get your Grail. Oh, that's brutal. I say no, you got to get the Grail watch because if you don't get it, somebody else is going to get your money and they're going to spend it on something stupid. Top Gun. I think he made Top Gun. I think he did make Top Gun. Let's see here. Baron Luxmeet Top Gun. Antarctic. I kill it to become my fanged. I don't know what that means. Is that Latin or something? This guy's a philosopher. It's too deep. This is too deep. I can't. I'm going through these stats so quick. I can't. Like this guy's comments. I actually have to think about. I'm speeding through this very quickly. The collection is never really initiated. I mean, this guy's too philosophical. It's like very deep thoughts. I don't know. Can you explain what this means in English? Okay. What's the premium Harvey Weinstein collection? Okay. I believe I don't know. I don't think Harvey Weinstein had good personal taste. I think he really was a guy was a kind of like a slob. Like he dressed like a slob. He basically acted like a slob because that was part of his thing. I don't think he had any real watches. He may have had but I don't think. But I do think I would buy one of his watches. But it's hard to identify. Here's the thing with watches. It's very hard to identify who owned them unless, like Mike Ovitz, he has his initials at the bottom, right under the 6. You got the initials. So you really don't know who owned the watch. It doesn't mean. With art, with paintings, you know who owned it because usually on the back of the painting there are labels. There's gallery labels. There's, there might be labels from the collections, museum collections. There's all sorts of labels on the back of important paintings, which, by the way, you don't want to remove. So that's part of the thing. With watches, you don't have that. So with watches, the provenance, I don't think is going to be as valuable unless it's easily to identify. Like Mike Ovitz watch has the MO. A lot of the, a lot of these custom watches by the, whether it's like Indian Maharajas or like the Saudi, the Gulf monarchs. They have their little signia on it, that type of thing. But so that's the. Let me see here. Okay, Baron Neo. Sorry, I got you. $1.99 super chat. Baron Neo. Apes. Baron Apes is in the house. We got a lot of Canadians. We have a lot of Canadians, including I think this guy's Canadian as well as Patel Philippe is Canadian. You let the sun bleach it out. It was probably a print. Yeah. If it was a print, so that's why I stick with paintings. They don't get bleached. But that's the problem with works on paper. So $3.99 super sticker. Perry Watch Lux. Greetings from the Duke Philippe. Timmy. Okay, we got comments about Macolas. Macolas, where is Macolas? What is Macolas? Where's Macolas here? Oh, got Macolas, yeah. Yuri, okay, by the dog. Okay, I think I caught up with everything. I think I caught up with most things. Okay, I know we're on a time limit with you, Baron. So please give the audience, give the punters, the aristocrats, your comments on the 10 commandments.
All right, so I think also when you buy a watch, you shouldn't just look at it from an investment perspective. You have to think about, like, is it a watch that you're going to wear? And then that entails things like proportions, right? It could be a beautiful watch, but hey, you know what? Maybe it's too big or too small for your wrist. So it's something that you think, it might go up in value. There's a good chance it might, but if you're not going to wear it, is that really something that's worth owning? Another thing I think about also is I take into consideration things like domestic serviceability, but that's really just like a minor thing because some watches have to be sent overseas for basic maintenance. So I think about that, and if you're buying, if you're not buying retail, I also think about the service records for the watch, especially for vintage watches, because you don't really know what the conditions or the condition of the movement is going to be until it's opened up.
Very important point. It's a very important point. If you have a complication, it's good to know that there was a recent service. Like I have to send in the Patek Perpetual. I have to send it in for service. I bought it basically well, actually I traded it in for another watch, but basically everything was there. The whole package was there, the full set, as we call it. And that's the only thing that gave me comfort, was knowing that, okay, it's a full set, because, the dealer I got it from, these guys tell you whatever. You can't trust these guys. They're all liars anyway, right? So he said, yeah, this guy's a big collector. He never wore it. And I think the watch was hardly worn. I mean, you could tell it basically was hardly worn. The whole set was there. But the watch is from, was made in the 2005. So that's almost 20 years. So that watch was never serviced. And, I'm going to have to service it. I got to fly to New York to deliver it because, well, I got to go there anyway. But, if I give it to a local service center, they're going to charge me insurance to ship it. It's whatever. I mean, the ticket is $300. But anyway, so the point about service, very important for Patek especially.
Yeah, but for the watch that you purchased, I think there are some signs that potentially, that the dealer's telling the truth. It's like, if it's the original strap, and then you see like, oh, it hasn't really been broken in, that could potentially be a sign that really wasn't worn.
So, yeah. No. I mean, everything was. By the way, that's one of the things. That's why when buying Patek, especially you want to know that everything is there, because then like this guy, he was telling me, yeah, the guy was just. He never wore the watch, whatever. Yeah, he had everything was there, the whole full set. The box, the papers, the little case back, the little pusher, all the paper, everything, all the documentation, and the watch. And you look at it, all the hallmarks are still crisp. The strap looked. I have the strap. I think that I would say that probably that watch was, the guy might have worn it like 20 times or something like that. Not whatever it is, not a lot of times. I mean, the strap was kind of like, but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. But here's the thing, the straps are replaceable. Anybody can change a strap.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah. There are people that take off, the original strap, and then they put an aftermarket strap on to wear it so that they can put the original back on when they there are people that do that. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually, I didn't think about that actually. That's tricky.
Yeah, so that's also why a lot of collectors, when they buy, a vintage watch, they specifically find one that hasn't been polished, because that's also a sign of how much it's been worn.
We should add that to well, I'm not sure if that should be added to the 10 Commandments, but it's definitely, the condition matters. I think that's kind of an obvious thing almost. That's why I didn't put it in, but it's definitely, especially for vintage, it's an issue, because especially a lot of these watches have condition issues. The dial might be flaking. You got dial problems. You got, like, the Ellipse I have, there's a little micromillimeter flake on the dial. One of the blue dials has a micromillimeter flake already, and those do have a tendency to flake. Yeah, those are valid, very valid. Keep going.
That's all actually all the comments I have. But okay, but I do have a question for you on your comment for to own a perpetual calendar. So is it really that important to have a perpetual versus an annual calendar?
For which brand?
For any given brand?
Listen, I'm no, okay. So for me, I happen to think that okay, so the annual calendar, right? For Patek, I happen to think that they only have like I think if I'm not mistaken, they have two basic lines. They have the hang on, I'll pull it up. Okay, the Michael. Actually, let's see if we can find the Mike Ovitz. Okay, so here's the thing, right? The annual calendar is basically, it's kind of like it's like the poor man's perpetual, basically. Like, why would somebody have an annual calendar? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so here's the thing. So their annual calendars, they have the 5396. They got the 5396, which I kind of like the dial. I like it in certain configurations, but I don't know. I like to see the sub dials. I like to see all the sub dials. That's basically it. And the annual calendars don't have all the sub dials. They have they don't have all the sub dials. That's the problem. So I want to see all the sub dials. But you know what? Look, the annual calendar is okay if you're getting like the 5396. If you got like a nice crisp one, it's actually a beautiful watch. It didn't work for me, but for somebody else, it might be a great watch. The 5396, that could be okay. But I think, look, for Patek, everybody knows for Patek Philippe, the ultimate is the perpetual. So it's kind of like if you consider yourself like Archie Luxury calls himself like a Mr. Expert of Patek Philippe, so he should have a perpetual calendar because that's their ultimate watch, really. And the fact that he doesn't have, I'm saying, it makes him a illegitimate pontiff. It's like it is what it is. So, but look at this. Look at this. He likes those. This Mike Ovitz. You and Mike Ovitz have the same taste.
Yeah. Well, also, having Arabic numerals makes it easier to read. It just at a quick glance. It's just like less you have to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Let me see. He's got. Let me see. Here's him. Okay. So here's Rolex magazine. Mike Ovitz. This is the guy, Mike Ovitz. Oh, he's got a Rolex. He also had, he had everything. This guy had everything. That's him. This is white. He's got Paul Newman Daytona. Okay, he's got this is okay. So this is Mike Ovitz in the 80s. This is in the 80s. This is him in the 80s. And this looks like it's in Century City. This is like a classic 1980s. This is probably like in Vanity. He's got the date. He's got the date. Is that a date? No. Is it? I think it is. Yeah, it is. The gold date. There we go. Yeah, date. There it is. Yellow gold, 1987. Oh, I didn't even say. This was the look in 1987. This was the look. The date. Who is Mike Ovitz? He came with a book. Okay. This is him, and what's the bottom here? This is him and Ron Meyer, another big agent in south of France. Are they? Yeah. No, they're not naked. No, it looks like they're naked. No, this is him and Jerry Seinfeld, right? This is him and this guy made like everything. This guy was like, the prologue is prologue, the past is prologue, perception is everything. This guy had all the best quotes. This guy really was. Oh, look at this. You should never, every detail is important. Where do you have a meeting? What is the surrounding environment? People who don't think about these things have a harder time in business. It's got to be the right place. It's got to be the right color. It's got to be the right choice. Everything has to be strategized. You have to know where you're going to come out before you go in. Otherwise, you lose. This guy studied the art of war. This guy was a very, very serious guy. Tao Te Ching. Look at this guy. This guy was amazing. Yes. Look at this. Oh shit! Now I lose respect. I just lost respect for Mike Ovitz. He's got the Explorer too. Shit. Okay, I don't know. Listen, I don't know. Oh my God. Here he is with Jack Nicholson. He's got is that I think it's a Submariner he's wearing. You know, he might be wearing like one of these low-key watches just to, like, you know, make the peasants feel better or something. Because this is not, you know, I mean, like, it's very strange. Look at this. But these are the heavy hitters. Look, he's got Zuckerberg. I mean, although, you know, obviously, but, you know, he's a heavy hitter guy. I mean, jeez. Wow.
Hey, I gotta drop off. But I guess we still have to address Watch Lux Media's 2 questions. He wants to know he wants to know. Let's see. Let's hear your best sports watch, and he also wants to know your favorite watch in the collection.
Oh, okay. Shit. You know what? I'm so glad you came on because I would have forgotten about this. Okay. Baron, I want to thank you. Hang on. First, let me pull it up. Let me pull up his questions there because let me pull it up because otherwise I might forget it. Where is it? Where is the question?
It's like way in the beginning.
Boom, right there. Okay, Baron. First of all, I want to thank you. Thank you for joining. When are you able to come back on? Let's email. We'll email.
Yeah. Great. Yep.
Baron,
also, don't forget the Rob report. You guys also have to cover the Rob report.
Oh shit! I mean, this guy. I thought you're like the best moderator of all time I've had. Okay, I'm going to talk about the Rob report. I will talk about the Rob report. Baron, I want to actually, listen, with all sincerity, I want to thank you on behalf of the punters because you really make the show 5 times better than I do myself. So thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks. I'm just doing my part to starve out the rats.
Thank you, Baron.
Yeah. All right,
okay,
talk to you guys later. All right, bye.
Thank you. All right, wow, this guy really makes a big difference. Big round of applause for the Baron Sung. Okay, so to address the question from my favorite sports watch, let me actually pop in. Let me pop into back to the thing. Let me pop in right back. Hang on one second. Stop screen. Present. Share screen. One moment. I'm going to pull up right here. Okay, guys, remind me to bring up the Rob Report article. Okay, so my favorite sport watch is it's got to be that Yachtmaster right there, which is at the far right. It's the Yachtmaster because I just think it's actually, look, the Royal Oak that you see at the top right, the Royal Oak Day Date Moon, that's actually technically it's a sport watch. Technically. I love that watch. It's a beautiful watch. The colors are amazing. The gold, everything, it's absolutely stunning. And that is a neo vintage. It's a I think it's like a late 90s watch. Again, we got it's zoomed in here, but that watch, technically it's a sport watch, but I would never go swimming in it. I would never take it into the ocean, to the beach. Why? Because delicate, it would get damaged. Who knows what would happen? It's a lot of bad things can happen. So that's why, the Rolex Yachtmaster is kind of my go-to kind of daily beater, more or less, because, it's a nice watch. It's got the two-tone. It's got a certain amount of elegance. The Submariner is the problem with the gold Submariner, the King Tut, is it's a little bit too, it's a little too cliche. It's I don't want to be that guy, that Submariner guy. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. Now the day date, my Rolex day date with the blue dial, I'm gonna put it on a rubber strap in a couple of weeks. I gotta go get the thing from Paris from Jean Rousseau. At that point, it'll be a sport watch. But really, the Yachtmaster is the ultimate sport watch because of the rotating bezel, which has that timing function. I think it's a great watch, and it's highly underrated because, a lot of the punters are brainwashed by the media. They're brainwashed by the Matrix. They wear there we go. So at the far right is the Yacht Master, the Yacht Master. By the way, if we have any Baron Sung, thank you for the super chat, Baron Watchlux. That's an interesting question. I'm sure I've been in, I've been in I've been in the ocean with a Submariner with the Yacht Master. No issues. Salt water, I think, is fine. They have good stainless steel, so you don't have corrosion. So thank you again. Thank you, Baron Sung. That guy is awesome. Moonface Duff. I don't know what that Moonface Duff. Very important for. It's interesting. Can you elaborate on this? Can you please elaborate? By the way, if we have any of the aristocrats that want to join in on the panel, I'm going to address the Rob report. So here we go. Let me catch up. Yeah. So super sticker, Gorams. Super sticker, €4.99. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I want you to know that all contributions are going to a very good cause. Unlike these grifters, who say, "Oh, it's hard. Oh, I got the camera broke. The camera fell in the ocean. Somebody stole the camera. Oh, I got to pay the rent this month." All these grifters are telling you all these stories. Archie, Tim. What's his name? The grifter of Venice. These guys are all making 6 figures plus from the super chats. They're telling you about all the hardships in life. They're wearing $20,000, $30,000 watches. They're telling you all about their hardships, and they're asking for donations for wires. We just put out a video, an expose. That's right, an expose on these guys. Apparently, the real money we heard from Kino. The informant, the Rolex informant Kino, has informed us that these guys are really, most of their money is coming from elderly women. That's right, elderly women, old ladies. These guys are preying on old ladies who are sending them wires. They're wiring the money, PayPaling the money, Zelling them money, thousands of dollars, not $10, but thousands of dollars. And these guys are basically like gypsies. They're like gypsy grifters. They're like gigolos, virtual gigolos for lonely older women. And I mean, listen, but it sounds sad. It's actually a very serious thing. These guys are preying. They're victimizing elderly victims, and they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Make sure that you guys don't have any elderly relatives that could be full victim to such degenerates. Okay, we got a guy. We don't know who this is. This could be an imposter. Who is this? Original Omek. Who's Original Omek?
I go by many names, good sir. Some know me as Big Meech. Some know me as the Original Omekless. Some may even know me as Omeech O'Malley. That's an interesting name as well. But look, I just wanted to say, first time caller, long time listener. It's a wonderful program that you have here. I enjoy the satire.
Send money, send wires. Don't enjoy. Send money. We need money for. I was about to say, I was going to finish up. I'm not asking you. We're not looking for contributions for the rent or for the camera. We need contributions for a Rolls Royce Wraith or Dawn. Okay, those are important projects. And when the colonel drives that car and does videos in that car, it's for you. It's not for me. It's for you. It's for you.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, I can't. I'm already a baron. I'm already a baron. See, I've already got the baron status. Status. So unfortunately,
hang on. Let's pull it up. Oh, there. Okay. First of all, Baron, I want to thank you for actually showing us, turning on your camera so we can see what you're wearing. What are you wearing? Tell us slowly. Give us the phone sex. What are you wearing, baby?
Khakis.
Really? What kind of underwear? Wait, sorry. This is not the OC program. This is not the Tim Wright show. I think that. Wait, I think this guy took me seriously. Are you there, Baron?
Yeah. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. You know that was a joke, right? You know we're not trying to have phone sex with you here. It's a, you know.
Hey, man. It's 2024. I don't judge, man. I don't judge.
Wait, pull up the watch.
It's all
Pull
cool,
up the
man.
watch.
It's all cool.
Exactly. Pull up the watch.
Unfortunately, I can't pull it out again. You know, being a Baron, I have to keep a low status. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
not that you would know, because I just don't really believe you're an aristocrat. Having vintage shitters on the wrist, I don't know. I don't know if I can give you that status.
Yeah, but wait. The what? You have a what is it? I couldn't say. It was a you had a Yacht Master, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Which one is it? Is it the chocolate dial?
No, I went with the black dial because I wanted the red lettering to
pop. Okay. So we may have to demote you to a semi-baron because the black dial. I don't think it has sunburst, right? There's no sunburst on that black dial.
No, it's a matte black dial. It's one of the last
Yes.
black dials that Rolex offers right now.
So I'm basically. You got a lot of fans here. You got a lot of fans in the audience. A lot of fans. So here's my issue with that thing. It's like I gotta have a dial. I'm really into the light reaction. I want to see the dial changing with light. So for me, the sunburst is a big deal.
I mean, yeah, no, I completely understand here, but if sunburst was a big deal for you, then why do you have a vintage shitter date? Whoa,
the day date
cheap and nasty. My day date's in solid gold.
Whoa. Hold on. Okay, whoa. Listen, Baron, let me correct you. So my day date actually is solid gold. I have the bracelet, the bark bracelet, yes, all yellow. I don't wear it on the bracelet. And the watch, the dial is a sunburst blue. It's a sunburst blue dial.
Yeah, but it's old. It's old. It's vintage. It's garbage. It's garbage.
It's a little bit vintagey. But here's the thing. What I plan to do in the next couple of weeks, once I have it on the rubber strap, it's going to be an amazing. See, look, right now, all the basic punters, they don't understand it. It's hard for them to understand the vintage. But once it goes on the strap, the rubber strap, then they understand how versatile it is. But I think actually the watch. I think the vintage. I think it's got a charm. I'm into the vintage watches. Again, I'm not going too far because, I'm not going earlier than the '60s. Really, for me, really, it's the late '60s, '70s. I'm not going beyond that unless it's like a Universal Genève, something like that. I don't like Rolex before late '60s. You know what I mean?
All right, that's fair.
So, but yeah, no, the watch, no, all my watches have actually every single one of my watches. I just realized this. Every one of them has some sort of dial. They got something going on with the dial. Either they get a sunburst, or they got some sort of coating. They got something, or it's a meteorite, or it's something. But listen, I do have to agree with you somewhat. I do need a date 40 meteorite dial. I do need that. And all the super chats are all going towards that and the Rolls Royce. So it's not about, the camera fell in the water and it's hard, carpet beetles. No, we're looking for the big grift. You know what I mean?
No, that is fair. That is fair. All right, I can respect that.
Oh shit! I just realized you're the guy that made the super. It's $9.99. So you're like a real philanthropist.
Yeah, no, I'm a philanthropist, bicyclist. I go by the name of AJ Pennypacker on occasion.
Wait, so you got the Yacht Master. Now, what else do you have? What other horology do you have?
Like I'd love to stay and discuss this more often, but unfortunately, the Mech is a wanted man. There are certain members of the community who placed a bounty on my head, and I can't stay in one spot for too long. But maybe another time. Unfortunately, we have to conclude. But as always, it's like I said, it is a pleasure to see a new member of the Tim Wright community.
Well, I'm not actually. I'm not part of the Tim Wright. We're not part of any. We're like on the outs.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay to be in denial. It's okay to be in denial a little bit, all right? But I mean, look, I mean, you just happen to be living in Tim Wright space here, all right? It's okay. It's okay, man. It's okay, man. It's all cool. It's all cool. All right, now I gotta go.
All right, we'll have you back soon. Thank you. All right, so let's get back to. Hang on, we'll pull this up. Okay, I was going to show. Okay, no, I'm going to show you this. Okay, I'm going to show you. Present. Okay, wait, stop screen. Now I'm going to show you the Robb report. The Robb report. Let's go. The Colonel and the Robb report. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Mech bounced before. Okay, that's right. This is a hate stream. This is the hater stream. What is? I can't see the icons. What is that icon? Shit, I don't know what that icon is. That's this guy's full. This guy should write a book. Unbelievable. Jeez. Okay, so what we have here is the Robb report on the trends in watches. I'm going to pull it up. Just to show you that the Colonel was always right. Okay, here's the Robb report. Date of the article, March 8th, 2024. And what are they saying? They're saying smaller cases. And lots of Cartier. The watch is selling now, according to America's biggest dealer. Model sold during high flying days, replaced by Fearless Color. That's right, Fearless Color. In bolder styles, meaning chocolate dials, not black. Oh, what's the watch on the right? Oh, it's an ellipse. Oh, wow, look at that. Isn't that amazing? Now, it is a modern ellipse, yes, but the ellipse, as we're about to find out, is the big thing. Now, hey, what's the watch in the middle? Now, I'm not a fan of the Chopard, but it is a two-tone, as we're about to find out. Let's scroll down. Boniface 14. Okay, so this is a heavy hitter guys selling to big collectors. Let's see. 23 biggest. Okay. Let's see. Let's get. Oh, he's got the Voutilainen or whatever that is. The Voutilainen. Okay, here we go. There's been a big flood of pre-owned watches coming back to market, suppressing prices. Yeah, a lot of guys who bought watches, they might be selling them off a little bit now. So yeah, that's suppressing prices, sure. Now, even Rolex specialists report clients are diversifying their interests. We're seeing a nice evolution of our client base where people are being really authentic. I hate that word, to what they like. So they're looking for things off the radar. That's right. It's no more basic bitch Rolex. Explorers. Let's go back into this. People are collecting for joy, not necessarily. Okay, here we go. Smaller sizing, gold, and two-tone cases, bold dial colors, shaped watches, and dress styles are the aesthetic trends du jour. Okay? There you go, my friends. I've been telling you this for a number of years, and now the punters are finally catching up. The punters, the masses, are catching up. They're catching up. Yes, I talked about the 1159. I think they're going towards the right direction. It's not there yet. It's not there quite yet, but at some point they'll be good. So, guys, my collection, the Colonel's collection, is 100% au courant, as they say, au courant, or au courant, meaning it is of the moment. It is 100% on the money. See, I'm like Wayne Gretzky. See, unlike Archie and Tim and Oisin and all the other punters and Urban Gentry, the Dirty Sanchez mustache. See, those guys are all chasing the puck. They're all following, what guys like me were doing 5 years ago. So Archie is going to catch up to this. But I was onto this trend 5 years ago. I might have been a little bit early. I was buying two-tone watches 5 years ago. I was buying smaller cases 5 years ago, color dials. But listen, that's what it takes to be, the colonel, the emperor of all horology. Look, to be the emperor of all horology is not easy. Okay, it's not easy. Pimpin' ain't easy, as they say. Okay, it ain't easy. So, what can I tell my friends? Let me pull this up in 1 second. See, the emperor of all horology. It's not me. It's not me saying it. It's Philippe Stern. This is a photo taken with Philippe Stern crowning the colonel as emperor of all horology. So what can I tell you, my friends? There's a reason why the colonel was crowned emperor of all horology. Now, let's look at this collection of shitters, Boxo shitters. What do we see here? Any two-tone? Well, there's one two-tone, but it's a shitter. It's the big, ultra big case size, the wrong case. Basic bitch dials, black dials, white dial, except for the Submariner, which is the wrong case. Next victim. Again, victim of the Explorer, the watch of the Matrix. He's controlled by the Matrix. This grifter, what does he have? A bunch of basic bitch watches. Now, again, some of these are expensive watches because he's grifting. This guy's on the grift. He's got old ladies sending him money. I need to have I need old ladies sending me money. Actually, well, hopefully they're a little bit younger. I'm looking for MILFs or cougars, maybe. MILFs and cougars. Attention to all MILFs and cougars. Send photos and money. Wires only. Again, basic bitch watches. He's not on the trend. And this guy, doesn't he do a video called The Fashion Police? Like he's some sort of fashion expert. He's got some other Stunad, some Bukyak on there, and he's got some girl. Actually, he's got a cute girl. He brings on this cute girl. She's actually pretty good looking. She's got some French name or something, which I'm not sure if that's her real name. Something about her is a little bit fake. And I saw one of her videos. The one time I saw the video, she was in the background. She had like some cheap paintings from like a thrift shop, some like fake, like really bad grandma style paintings, like really horrible taste. So if that's her home, she's got horrible taste. I mean, clothing wise, maybe she understands. But guys, I got to give you one piece of advice, very important. Never ever take fashion advice from women. No, seriously, do not take fashion advice from. Well, actually, okay. Let me clarify. Like colors, yeah, okay. Colors is okay. Like they have an understanding of color, but in terms of like, I mean, they'll know about fashion, but women have no comprehension of like tailoring or whatever. They don't understand that stuff. They really don't. Excuse me. Do not take advice. First of all, I would never trust a woman tailor, meaning like for like a suit or whatever, measuring, because I think women have a hard time measuring. It's there's a joke I could share, but it's a visual joke. But anyway, yeah, they could tell you, okay, yeah, you look better in I don't know, black, or green is not your color. 100%, because men are usually colorblind. There's actually a certain color blindness, which yeah, that's actually true. But don't listen to advice from women, because most women, 99% of women, they understand fashion, and they don't understand like classical style. It's something that a lot of them really don't understand. I mean, they recognize it when they see it, like they recognize it on the Colonel, but don't take their advice for like buying clothes, like new clothes. You're gonna get horrible advice, because all their advice comes from like social media about like fashion brands and bullshit, and whatever is the trending thing this week. So yeah, so this chick he has that he's exploiting, sexploitation. That's right, sexploitation. That girl's cute. She's actually what's her name? Whatever her name is, she's invited to escape the Matrix, the Illuminati, and join this channel. Whatever her name is, she's definitely invited to join and escape the clutches of the sexploitation avoid Sheen O'Malley. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you have no taste. Could be also you have no taste. That's possible. That's possible. So maybe it's a low bar. It's a low bar to, you know. No, this is, look, listen. I'll put it this way. Most women actually understand style better than men, but I'll put it this way, okay? I'll put it this way. I would much rather take advice from a gay guy. I'm talking about a flamboyant gay guy than the most beautiful woman in the world. You know why? Because the flamboyant gay guy will really understand what looks good on you and what's going to be much better. And when I say flamboyant, I mean like flamboyant, not like one of these guys like that guy Peter Buttigieg, whatever his name, Buttigieg. You know, the guy who's who's the guy that the Biden administration. Actually, it's interesting. You would think like most gay guys have really good taste. I mean, most gay guys that I've met have really good taste, right? Like in the art business, they have incredible taste, right? Now, this guy, Buttigieg, whatever his name is, this guy has like the most basic bitch taste. And he's married to a guy, right? Him and his husband, whatever you call it, the wife. I don't know what these guys are, right? They adopt a kid, whatever. But these guys both wear matching outfits, like in the most basic bitch, like these guys dress worse than the most straight, like dad type of guy from the Midwest. That guy's suits don't fit. His shirts, their collars are too small. Like you would think a gay guy would know this, but no. That guy actually insults. He's an embarrassment. Peter Buttigieg is an embarrassment to all homosexuals. Watch Nicholas gay? That guy probably has good taste. He probably has good taste. Where are we going with this? What happened? The notorious Mech escaped. Anyway, back to the two-tone. So the emperor of horology is telling you what is happening. I was telling you this. And now, just like Michael Ovitz, who we were discussing, now the world has come around to what I've been telling you. That's right. The prophecy has become real. So listen to me closely, young Mech. Listen to me closely, young Mech. The Colonel, the Emperor of Horology, is always right, as you are now seeing from the Robb Report. And I guarantee you, in a couple of years, you're going to see an article about vintage day dates. Look, 100%, I guarantee you, every watch in my collection, every watch is going to become red hot in the next couple of years, with the exception of, the Submariner, which is, it's kind of like a classic thing. It's not going to, and no, I think that's it. Yeah, the Submariner is the only watch that basically is not going to be like in that kind of scheme. It's just a classic watch, which is, the two-tone, whatever. But, we're seeing this. Look, Notorious Mech. All you got to understand is I have the prophecy. I have the prophecy. No, this is not the AC3. No, we're not doing the AC3 channel. We are an independent channel here. Oh, that's a funny name, Pete Buttigieg. That's funny. Yeah. So, where were we? Yeah. So basically, look. The bottom line is the Colonel is always right. Let's keep going with the article. Let's keep going. So, look at this: two-tone, smaller cases. Vibrant dials. But wait, it gets better. Okay, this guy said, yeah. Ben Bridge, increase in demand for two-tone stainless steel and gold watches, as well as much more flexibility around sizing. Wow, look at that. Who knows more? Archie Luxury, that fat, greasy fuck, or Ben Bridge, who has sold probably $1 billion worth of watches and knows what's happening. That's his whole business. Oh, look at that. Is that an ellipse? Yes, it is. Brian Govberg, who's probably worth, I don't know, a couple $100 million. That's the Alfred E. Newman guy that you see on Watchbox. Alfred E. Newman, that's right. Alfred E. Newman. saying shaped cases are having a moment. Cartier Crash, Pebble, but those watches, we're definitely seeing a resurgence and appreciation for the Patek Philippe Ellipse and tonneau shaped cases. I wear an Ellipse regularly. On the wrist, it's magnificent. Now, I bet he's talking about the vintage one, not this new one. This is the new one, which is a much bigger. The one he's talking about is like the ones I have, the small versions. Now, let me go back. Hang on a second. Let me go back. Now, let me show you something. Let me show you something. Oh. Okay, I'm going to show you right now. Behold, behold, behold. Okay. There we go, baby. There we go. That, my friends, is the Ellipse. Multiple case sizes. This is better than the Cartier. This is like a Cartier style, but it's Patek Philippe. Much better. Blue, gold, on a strap, smaller case. What did that article just tell you? Who is the emperor? That's right. Now you understand? Unbelievable but true. Hang on a second. I'm going to put on the volume here because people, they show a beautiful blonde running on the beach, whatever, that type of thing, right? No, they got to show a 400-pound black woman doing yoga, a headstand, right? Or surfing. Also 400 pounds. Now, listen, I mean, I don't know. This may sound politically incorrect, but I've never seen a 400-pound black woman surfing. And I've spent a lot of time on the beaches of California. I have never seen a 400-pound black woman surfing. Is it possible? It could be possible. I'm sure there is. This is the outlier. Now, doing yoga. Now, I do yoga every day, right? I just do some stretches. I'm not here to be like some sort of fruitcake, but I've taken yoga classes couple times. I've never seen a 400-pound black woman. I've seen, in shape ones, I've never seen a 400-pound white woman in a yoga class, right? Anyway, if you notice, you go to any of these, you pass by these athletic stores, athletic leisure, whatever, they have the dummies in there, and now you see this kind of 400-pound, like an obese dummy. They used to have like in shape, what are they called? Not dummies, they're called mannequins. They had thin mannequins or whatever, in shape mannequins. Now they have a fat woman. They have a fat woman mannequin who is like kind of racially, what's the word? Ambiguous, but she's not exactly white, right? Again, this is not a racial thing. This is not a woke thing, whatever. I'm just telling you the reality, okay? Okay, so if you're fat, don't try to make everybody else fat. You do you, okay? You do whatever you want to do. God bless. So what I was saying, basically, I was making commentary about, you got to be careful who you take advice from. Don't take advice from people with no taste who basically are trying to wrap you around their vision of the world, okay? Archie Luxury is a greasy fat fuck. You got that drunken leprechaun. You got Tim, was it the Artem, the Ukrainian Nazi? Those guys don't have any taste, especially Archie. Archie is the worst example. And when Archie tells you, oh, the case it's a little too small. Oh, isn't that Patek Perpetual? Oh, it's a little too small. Oh, the 36 millimeter. Oh, it's a little too small. On him, it's a little too small because he's a fat, greasy fuck, and it would look terrible on him. Why? Because it's incongruent. It's not congruent for a greasy guy like that. A greasy guy like Archie needs to wear 42 millimeter watches, sport watches, because that's him. He cannot wear a Patek dress watch. He can't. Unless it's a huge case size or whatever. Because he can't wear a watch that's elegant because he's not elegant. I'm just telling you. He lacks elegance. I'm not here to tell you that I'm Cary Grant, okay? I'm not Cary Grant by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm telling you is don't take advice from people who are basically trying to, put a round peg into a square hole or whatever the phrase is, okay? So that is the reality. And that's the thing. The media, the Matrix, for the last couple of years, the Matrix is trying to tell you that everybody's beautiful. Everybody's not beautiful, okay? I'm not beautiful. Well, okay, I am beautiful, but okay. Look, what is the Matrix doing? The Matrix is basically trying to sell you this thing that everybody is beautiful. They're trying to like be inclusive and all this bullshit. Victoria's Secret, which used to have supermodels, they had beautiful supermodels, right? Who they had for the runways and all that stuff. That's who was modeling their clothes, right? Beautiful supermodels, great bodies, right? Now they got a bunch of fat chicks, and most of them are also going more. Now before it was probably 70% white, blondes or whatever, and 30% whatever exotic, right? Now again, like whatever, they had some Asians, some blacks, Hispanic, whatever it is, look, a variety, right? Why? Because guess what? Most of their buyers, that's their demographic. It's probably 70%. The U.S. is, I don't know, 70% white, whatever. It's not a racial, it's just the reality of the world. Now, all these guys are showing you fat black women. If you turn on TV, every commercial has the fat black woman. The why? Oh, she's wise also. The fat black wise woman. That is the media's thing. You'll never see, by the way, you'll never see a beautiful blonde who's a genius. You'll never see a beautiful blonde genius with double D's. With whatever, 18-inch waist, whatever it is, right? You're never going to see that because that's like, oh my God, that's for the patriarchy or whatever, blah, blah, blah. No, they're going to have, they're showing you fat women basically. But now, because their sales have collapsed, now Victoria's Secret, they've seen the light, they lost a lot of money. They realize, hey, wait, you know what? Fat people want to be beautiful. Yes, that's true. Fat people want to be beautiful. And the thing with white, the whole white thing, I hate to break the news to you. Now, personally, I'm a white guy. Personally, I like Asian girls. That's my taste, okay? I'm like Artem in a way. Artem Pizdets, he found some, migrant from the Korea or something. He imported like an illegal immigrant he got married to. I like Asian girls, right? I like exotic. I like a little more exotic, right? But the Western standard is beautiful blonde. The beautiful blonde is the standard of beauty in the Western world. Okay, I'm actually not into blondes. I like darker hair. It's like a little bit more exotic. But the blonde, the blonde is the standard. Everybody wants to be a beautiful blonde. Black women want to be beautiful blondes. Okay, that's the truth. And I got to tell you that they all want to have, as they say, good hair, right? Good hair. They want to have that beautiful blonde hair. Everybody wants to be a beautiful blonde. Now, by the way, it's interesting. The Kardashians, you know why the Kardashians became big? And this actually, I had a lawyer who was actually, he actually represented the Kardashians. He was my intellectual property lawyer on a certain matter. I was suing some companies for intellectual property infringement. He represented the Kardashians, and this is a number of years back. This is right when they became big. This is going back 2008 or something, right? And I told him, I said, hey, can you hook me up with Kim Kardashian? Because that's my type, right? I said, hey, can you hook me up with Kim? Or maybe like she was single at the time, right? And now Kim is only into black guys. The Kardashians only go black, right? Once you go black, you don't go back. I think only one of them is into white guys. The rest only are into black guys. It's a weird thing. And they got a brother who's white or whatever he is. I don't know. I guess he's beige, whatever. He's into black chicks only. So it's a whole thing going on in that family, right? So I asked him, why is Kardashian so big? And he told me something fascinating. This is in 2008 or something. And he said, look, the reason why the Kardashians are huge is because they're racially ambiguous. Like, they're not black, they're not white, they're not Hispanic, they're like beige, basically. They're beige, right? So everybody can relate to them, right? So, everybody can relate to them. If they were blonde, it would be like an unattainable thing, right? Nobody can be blonde. But if they're like kind of like this neutral color, whatever, neutral, they're neutral basically, right? 90% of the planet is that color, like the kind of beige, they have dark hair, right? So basically, he says their big audience, the Kardashian audience, or at that time, their big audience was, he called it the ethnic market. He said they're huge in the ethnic community. I think ethnic means like Hispanic, maybe black, but I think Hispanic or whatever. In the Middle East, they're big, with the Arab market. Well, there's not that many Armenians to be a big thing in Armenia. I think there's only a small number of Armenians. So that's not their market. Their market is really Hispanic, ethnic, whatever it is, right? That's just the reality of marketing in the world, right? So where we're going with this, and I don't want to get canceled, so I don't want to get too I'm just telling you guys the reality. So the bottom line is, don't listen to this matrix stuff where they're trying to program you about standards of beauty. The standard of beauty in the Western world is the beauty contest. Everybody wants the beautiful blonde, okay? Everybody. I'm talking about the black guys also. Yeah, notice, anytime a black man makes money, who does he marry? The blonde. He marries the white women. Where those white women at, right? That's right. O.J. Simpson. Who did O.J. marry? Did he marry a black woman? No. Black guys will marry a lighter-skinned woman. That's right. How do I know? I'm partially black, right? So I know. I'm mixed race. That's how I know these things. Now, yeah, most black guys will marry or date a lighter skin. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Everybody's into skin color. Everybody. The most racist people are actually black people. Most racist people are black people. And the skin color is a big deal. They all want lighter skin. They like that, not white because they don't want to be considered white, but they want that, like, what do they call it? Paper bag, the brown paper bag, that beige color type of thing. By the way, I've seen a lot of what's interesting, actually, I find that a very exotic look. I actually like that look. You ever see like these chicks that are like, they're like very, they're partially black. They're kind of like very like beige, but they have like blue or green eyes, and they have like I don't know, bleach blonde. It's some crazy exotic look. I dig that look for chicks, right? That's a good look. The Japanese are also racist. They don't like darker skinned Japanese. The Chinese, by the way, the Asians are very racist. I was dating this Chinese girl, not off the boat, but like, second generation or something. And she was afraid to go in the sun because she was saying she didn't want to look like a rice farmer. It's very taboo in the Chinese community to be dark, So what can I tell you? Oh, look at this. Oh, we have this. Yeah, so I'm into that. I like the Persian thing. I know all the good words in Persian. So you're a koskesh, the koskesh. Yeah, I'm into the exotic. I'm into the exotic type of thing. Yes, like the sand gold, the Audemars Piguet. Yeah, I like the sand gold. That's my thing. I like the like that Persian look, like or whatever that Armenian, whatever it is, like as long as they're not hairy. I don't like when they get the hairy. Like I don't like the ones that have the hairy the mustache thing. But if they don't have that, I dig that look. They got that kind of like darker type of look. Actually, the look I really like is kind of that darker, like Japanese, that dark Japanese look. The Japanese, when they get, I think it's like the Okinawans or something. They're like that dark Japanese. That's the best look in my opinion. That's I haven't met one yet. Farsi mikonam. Farsi mikonam. Saidesh tu yakunama. I know all the bad words, actually. Yes. Soat chande. That means, what time is it? Yeah, so what are we talking? Okay. Let's go back. The old icons must fall. Their statues cast into the river of irrelevance not the colonel, it's the emperor. The emperor. Let's address this. That's right. Archie and Marcelo fighting it out for the 7 o'clock. Listen, you know what? Actually, this time slot is really, I don't like this time slot, but I'm gonna do this time slot just to because I'm just competitive. It's actually not worth my time really to do this, to deal with the punters like this. But what can I tell you? I'm just a competitive prick, and I want to destroy these guys. Well, I like Marcelo. He's a nice guy, but Archie, I need to. We need to destroy Archie. The goal of this channel is to destroy Archie, Artem Pizdets, and the Grifter of Venice. That is the goal here. The goal is to destroy them. And yes. Yeah, that's right. The Kardashians father, Robert Kardashian, was best friends with OJ. I think he helped OJ hide the bloody clothes. I think he was involved in the cover-up. Allegedly, one of the Kardashian girls, they were saying that OJ was her father. Which one is it? It's the one I think that's one of them. I don't know. I don't think so. They don't look. They look more like. They look like Robert Kardashian. He was. I don't think he was ugly, but the son, the Kardashian son, that kid is ugly. I mean, that kid got hit with the ugly stick. The other ones, what is it? I think there's one ugly sister. The sister that's married to the white guy, she's cute. Then there's a tall one who's kind of like she's like the ugly one. And I think, okay, so I think those are the Kardashian, genetically Kardashians. And then there are the ones that were from Bruce Jenner. Now, Bruce Jenner was a good-looking guy when he was young. That guy, he could have been a transsexual. If he did it when he was young, he could have pulled it off. Today, he looks, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, it's not my thing. I think it was a bad decision, but whatever. Caitlyn, or whatever he calls himself. I always remember him as Bruce, but that guy was a really good-looking guy. Like, he was like, I don't know how he would rank, because his face actually, he was like not like he's like pretty is the word, like pretty. He was like a pretty boy, but he basically could have been a woman. He could have pulled off the look when he was. But notice, the ones that are models are from his DNA, like that. What is it? Is it Jenner? The Jenner girls. What is it? The two girls that are from Jenner. What is it? Whatever their names are. I don't know. Caitlyn Jenner. I don't know. Kristen. They're all K's. They're all the KKK. That was the joke, right? Was it the Kardashians? They're all part of the Ku Klux Klan, right? Because they're all there's some joke. I remember some joke. It was funny. But yeah, it's unbelievable but true. So wait, hang on a second. Look, we're gonna take all the leads. I'm taking the leads. That's right. Archie, Tim, we're drinking your milkshake. You know that line from There Will Be Blood? I drink your milkshake. That's right. I drink your milkshake. We're taking the leads. We are taking all the leads, not some of the leads, all the leads from everybody. 100% market domination.